Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Credit Chat. I'm Rod Griffin, Senior Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. I'm here to answer your questions about credit reporting, credit scoring, fraud and identity theft, all of those things that are so important in our financial lives, especially as we're beginning to, we hope, emerge from the COVID-19 crisis. Queenville RW333, thanks for joining and being part of the chat today. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. I'll do my very best to answer. That's what this is all about. New York Zeppelin, good to see you again. I hope you're doing well and staying well, and have questions because I'm always asking for questions so that we can share information. If you have questions, others do too. And understanding what's going on with your credit history, understanding how to maintain credit scores so that you have access to financial services at better terms and lower rates is so important. And we want to make sure you have the right information. So good morning. Hope you're doing well. And literally and figuratively, hope you're staying well and staying safe. Good to see you here. May King, thanks for joining. And if you're just jumping on, if you've never been on the chat, this is Credit Chat Live, and I'm Rod Griffin. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, or at least try to be, to answer questions about credit reports or scores or fraud and ID theft, all of those things that go with what Experian does and has expertise in that can help you be more financially successful, financially healthy. So that's what we're trying to do, is help each other have a conversation and a dialogue that will be beneficial to everyone and share information. I want to answer your specific issues and address the concerns or questions you have, because that will help you make the most progress. I always tell everyone, I've done PowerPoint presentations in corporate America. I can do death by PowerPoint better than anybody. And I don't want to do that, but I could talk forever about credit reports and scores and not tell you what you need to know. So take the opportunity, please, to ask any questions you have. I'll do my best to answer. This is a really difficult time and critical to maintaining your credit history. So many of us and our families are affected by COVID-19, either because they're ill or because they've suffered job loss or income reduction as a result of our response to COVID-19 to try to keep people safe and healthy. That has implications for your credit history, for your credit scores. There's a lot that you need to know about talking to your lenders, making sure you're working with them, things that they can do for you. So we want to share those with you. Queen VLRW333, can I explain the benefits of the subscription your company offers? Unclear to all of the advertising. So when you subscribe to a monitoring service from Experian, like our CreditWorks or IdentityWorks services, you get unlimited access to your credit report. You get credit scores. Those are both important things to have access to and to know if you're planning to apply for credit or use credit. You also get tools that help you identify and work with what you need to improve. So it's not just about getting a report and score. It's about getting the information you need to be proactive and effective in improving your credit history. If you're a subscriber, you also get multiple access to multiple credit scores. So my one perk with Experian is that I get free access or free membership to our premium monitoring service, which means I have access to 7 or 8 FICO scores, different FICO scores, tools to manage my debts, alerts about any changes to my credit history, so that if something happens, I'll be able to react immediately. And we monitor the dark web, which most of us don't have access to or don't know how to access. I don't. So important to have those kinds of resources if you choose to subscribe. Now, that's our subscription service. The other opportunities we have, if you've seen Experian Boost commercials, with the purple cow, don't know why we have a purple cow, but really creative. That may be what you saw. Experian Boost is a different service, and it's a free membership or enrollment. If you go to experian.com/boost, and we will provide the opportunity to have your positive cell phone payments, your positive utility payments, so things like natural gas, water, electricity, reported as accounts to your credit report, and that's permission based. So you tell us what accounts you pay them from, and we're able to capture that payment each month and add it as an account, a positive payment to your credit report. That can help boost your credit scores. We'll give you a free FICO 8 score at the start, a free FICO 8 score at the end, so you know exactly what the changes are. and be able to see improvement. 2 out of 3 people are improved. We see improvement from, and on average about 13 points. So that's a separate service. It's a free service, but you do enroll in a free membership in our monitoring services. So 2 kind of different things, but related. So hope that helps and gives you a sense of what they are. You can go to Experian.com and learn more about them. So thanks everybody for jumping in. JDUEUE 211272272. Thanks for joining. Tina LaRoe, Christina Roman, thanks for being here, and hope that helps. Did I have coronavirus? No, not that I know of at this point, so not sure. I want to monitor your reports and learn how to manage it, and that's what those tools can help you do. If you subscribe to a monitoring service, you can get your credit report free once a week right now at annualcreditreport.com if you want to monitor your report that way. We're providing it free so that as you go through the coronavirus crisis that we've been through in recovery as we go forward, you can have access as often as you need it, at least once a week, so you can see what's happening, make sure things are reported correctly, make sure that if you've entered into payment accommodations with your lender, that those are being reported correctly. So want to make sure you have access, transparency, know exactly what's in the report. But a monitoring service, if you're trying to build your credit history, preparing to buy a home, are concerned about fraud, can be worth investing in, certainly, if it's something you're concerned about or a tool you can use. So don't think of it just as a credit report or a credit score. It's about the tools that show you what you need to do. You get the risk factors that go with them. You get estimator tools, things like that, that can help you, payoff tools that can help you manage it more effectively. So think of it as more than just that report. So it's the additive things that bring it value, I think. Matisco 14, hello, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Legend Frankie, thanks for being here and being part of the chat. If you're just jumping in, I'm Rod Griffin, Senior Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. This is Credit Chat live, and I'm here Tuesday and Thursday, 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern, if I can make it, and want to answer your questions. It's about having a dialogue. It's about helping me know more and my company know more about what your concerns are, what issues you might be having, because I do share the information with our leadership as we learn more. And it's about helping you know what you need to know to improve your credit history, make sure the scores are there to work for you. So please feel free to ask. Don't be shy about that. I definitely just need to learn how to take full advantage. Yeah, and there's some simple things that I would recommend. One, get the report, get a score, and you can get a free membership to Experian's app. If you use your phone, we'll give you a free report and score. That will give you, in addition to the number, the score, and the report, will give you the risk factors that go with that score. Those are kind of an important place to start, because the risk factors tell you what from your report affected the number, and the risk factors are very consistent from one score to another. So if you get those risk factors, that can be a great place to start in figuring out what you need to work on most. They're listed in order of importance for your particular score. So if you address those risk factors, they're going to help you improve your credit history over time more quickly and more permanently, if you will, more lastingly. So it's important to do that. And I'll apologize now if I miss your question. Please repost and be patient. I try to get through them if I can. I have a good FICO score, 683, but I've been denied by credit card companies. Is it because I had late and missed payments 4 months ago? It can be. So there are several things that go into a lot of things that go into calculation. There can be up to 300 different factors in a credit score, and that from your credit history and the way they weigh them. In this instance, delinquencies, what we call late payments, delinquencies are the most important negative factor in score. So they're going to hurt your score the worst. Time is also an issue. So the more recent those late payments were, the more impact they will have on your scores. So it's probably a combination of those things. You've had some late payments and they're recent within the last, say, 3 to 6 months or a year. So that is likely the biggest impact. So if you can catch up on those late payments, bring your accounts current, that will help you recover more quickly. But the further in the past they occurred, if you become current on those accounts, is the less impact they will have over time. So that's going to help most quickly. How long do you have to wait before starting to get approved? And that depends on the lender. It depends on their criteria. They determine the scores that are acceptable to them, what credit history and other requirements they have to approve an application. We provide a credit report that is then scored by the lender and can then help them make that determination. So make sure that you're looking at the overall history. Make sure that you're looking at what's happened there and how long ago, and the lenders will determine what their cutoffs are. Some may approve you, others may not. If you have scores that are struggling a bit or some recent issues in particular, you may qualify, but probably at higher interest rates than you would otherwise. So keep that in mind. But you check with lenders. Don't apply too often. Inquiries become a factor if you're applying too often. So apply once or twice, give it some time, a few months, and then apply again if you're not approved. If you are declined, the lender has to send you what's called an adverse action notice. That will tell you why they declined your application. It might not have anything to do with your credit score. Years ago, when I had my first job, I bought a car, and when I applied, I got pre-approved even. Went to get the car, and they declined my application. And the reason they declined it was because I hadn't been at my job long enough. It had nothing to do with my credit history. So it can be other things. So look at that adverse action notice, or I'm trying to think of the other word we used, but declination notice. Sometimes you hear it called, but it's an adverse action notice. It gives you the reasons your application was declined. It's not you were declined; it's your application was declined. So don't take it personally. That's easy to do, but look at that adverse action notice and the reasons they say that your application was declined. And it will give you a score if they use a score, the risk factors that go with it, all of that information. Use that to help set a path and a plan so that you can improve and be ready to go when you apply again. So get that information, use it to your advantage. Even though you paid your accounts off, so they're paid off. That's going to help if there's zero balance. The second most important factor is what we call utilization rate on your credit card. So if you have zero balances, that's the best thing you can do for your scores. Keep paying them in full. That's going to help as well. DM 119. Don't have to like credit. Cash is still good, but there are reasons that you might use credit instead of cash to your advantage. So be thoughtful and use the tools that are available. The wealthiest people in the world use credit to their advantage and use cash to help them earn more money. So use it as a tool. It's a financial tool, in my view, and it's a tool that you can use to take advantage of benefits and services, lower costs, and you can invest your cash and make more money with your cash than you pay in interest. That makes money. So use credit as a tool. Don't make a poor decision based on lack of knowledge and understanding. So you're here, maybe you'll learn something, and maybe your opinion might change a bit. Got pre-qualified but declined for the cards because recent lates and missed payments. It's been 4 months. Yeah, so, and that's a really good point. The pre-qualification process, or what we call pre-screening, what happens is a lender will come to Experian with a list of the criteria they have for an offer. And they'll tell us, we want a mailing list of 100,000 people that meet these criteria. And we then enter that criteria into our system. It's bounced off of our credit reporting database of about 220 million people. And a mailing list is output. No one actually ever looks at the credit report in that process. It's completely automated. So there's an inquiry showing your report was accessed. It's a soft inquiry. It doesn't affect your scores in any way. But once we provide that mailing list, the lender will then mail those offers to you, and then you can accept that offer, which means you're now applying for credit. It can take up to 6 months for that process to happen. So the lender can tell us we want this list, and then it can be delayed, and it may be several months later before they actually mail it. And then when you accept it, you're applying, and they can check your credit report again to make sure you still meet the criteria. And if not, they can decline your application. I suspect that's what happened there. There was probably a delay before the lender was ready to send out those offers. We provide it to them. They determine when they go out. So if they send out the offers, and in the interim, you had some financial challenges and it affected your ability to qualify, and so when you then accepted the offer or applied, they checked and found that you didn't meet their criteria anymore, and so declined your offer. So it's actually a longer process than you would think. It takes a number of months quite often before that, between the time they get the list to when they actually send the offer, and then you would respond to it. And that sounds exactly like what probably happened in that situation. Second Chance, hello, welcome to Credit Chat Live. I'm Rod Griffin. If anyone's just joining, I'm Senior Director, Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. This is Credit Chat Live. I try to be here 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern on Periscope, just to answer your questions, have a conversation about things that you're working on or concerned about, need to know more about, and want to share, excuse me if I don't lose my voice, with everyone the information. Because if you have questions, I know other people have the same questions, and we want to have that dialogue. That's what it's really all about. So I appreciate all of you being here and having great questions and great conversation, because that's really so important. And again, the things like pre-screening, we don't talk about that very often. It happens a lot. Another thing to know is, what I always tell people is, if you get pre-approved offers, be proud. They want you to be a customer. You can always say no. Most powerful word in credit is no. 2 little short letters. Just because you get an offer doesn't mean you have to accept it. So say no. What pre-screened offers or pre-qualified offers do is actually expand your opportunity as a consumer. If you didn't get pre-screened offers or pre-approved offers in the mail, you would have to apply at your local lender. So you'd have to go to the bank or credit union, whoever's available locally, to apply for credit, and that would limit your marketplace. If, because of pre-screened offers or pre-approved offers, you could apply for credit from lenders across the country. So it really opens up the market for you, creates competition among lenders, which then actually reduces cost to you and creates more opportunity for you. So look at it, that's the way I look at it. I look at it as an opportunity. If I get pre-approved offers, if I don't want them, I shred them. And simple as that. You can ask to be removed from pre-approved offer mailing lists. And you can go online or call, and I'll probably get this wrong. I always do this wrong. I get it backwards. You go to pre-screen opt-out, or it's optoutprescreen.com. It's one of those two. And and then fill out the form. We will opt you out of pre-approved offer lists from the 3 national credit reporting companies. And simple to do. And if you want to do that, keep in mind though, a couple of things. If you choose to opt out, it will take usually several months before you see the number of offers begin to decline and go away. And that's because of what I just mentioned. It takes a number of months for that process to happen. And so there are probably offers already in process that are going to be mailed because we've already done the pre-screening. So allow some time there. But also know, if you then suddenly want to apply for credit or have a need for it, you won't have those offers coming in, and it will take several months to get that process started again. So you think about whether you want it. You can always say no, and I think that's what's really important. My system's acting up. Was trying to update your information. Need more there. I'm not sure what's happened. Medic One Academy, thanks for joining, being part of the chat. Trick 48, thank you for being here. Not sure what you were trying to update, but if there's a little more information, maybe I can help. If not, I can tell you I don't know. And I'm always willing to say I don't know if I don't know the answer. The late payments, is it for revolving accounts or installment loans too? They take it all into consideration. So it's both revolving accounts, fancy word for credit cards, and installment loans. So things like car loans, mortgage loans, retail loans are all part of the credit report and are all taken into consideration. It's good to have 1 or 2 credit cards, just because when you use a credit card, you decide how much you're going to borrow each month, and you decide how much you're going to repay. So you can decide to max out the credit card or charge just a minimum amount. You can decide to pay the balance in full, or just the minimum due, or something in between. And that shows what I think of as free will in the way you use that credit account. With an installment loan, something like a car loan, for example, you're told you will make this amount of payment on this date every month until it's paid off for a certain period of time. So you're not making decisions there. It still can be positive. You don't have to have credit cards to have a good credit score. Installment loans can show that you're responsible and you can have good scores. 1 or 2 cards can help if you're making those payments on time, keeping your balances low. Paying the balance in full each month is ideal. Because of that free will factor, it shows that you're making independent borrowing and repayment decisions with less restriction. And so it gives a bit better sense that in terms of risk, and so that can help scores improve a bit faster. So we just recommend, if you're working on building credit, have one or two cards if you can manage them well. And I think that's something that's important to understand too. I had 2 major surgeries and have not worked in 3 years. I call all my card companies to explain. And they may be able to work with you if there are medical collections, which I'm guessing may be the case in this situation. Scoring systems have changed. They don't weigh medical collections as heavily as they used to, and paid medical collections are no longer included in the scores in the newest scoring system. So if you can pay them off, if that's an issue, that can help immediately. We also, in the credit reporting business, delay reporting that medical collection for 6 months to make sure that it's not a billing error or an insurance dispute, things like that, to make sure it's really should be a collection on your credit report. So there's less impact in that way too. So we treat them differently. I hope that helps. I think that's really important to understand. It's still a debt if it's on the report, and that you would owe, so it affects your ability to repay other debts, and that's why it's considered. But we treat them differently now than we used to, and different than other kinds of collections. Base says 07196. Thanks for joining and being part of the chat today. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. I'm always happy to help if I can. 5280-WHO. Thanks for joining and being part of the chat today. I know there's a lot going on and a lot that we need to be aware of in terms of COVID-19 and what's happening there and managing your credit. I'm hopeful as we start to see states reopening and businesses starting up again, that we'll get back on our feet quickly, that the economy is going to recover quickly, and that the questions will be around how do I make sure I'm paying the debts I owe and managing my credit well so I can achieve better financial standing. They couldn't hold off 3 years, so now they're calling me and my wife every day. I'm sorry. Check your credit report. I think that's important. They may not be reporting them, so get your credit report. You can get a free report once a week at annualcreditreport.com. One from Experian, one from TransUnion, one from Equifax. So you can actually get 3 reports a week if you need to. But check those reports. You'll be able to see whether or not they're being reported. If they're not on the credit report, they're not affecting your credit history. So be sure to look at those and make sure that they're reported accurately. Sorry for your situation and what the position you're in. As I said, we've made changes and we're continuing to improve in that process as well, and hope that we can get you back up to speed, and you can always restore it and rehabilitate. This may be a bad term, and you're talking about having medical issues. So one, I'm glad you're better and going back to work and feeling better. So that's good news. Cling to that, and work on the credit history so we can help you with that. So 800 for over 30 years, and you'll get back to that, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can recover. If you've had a long, strong credit history, setbacks tend to take less time to recover from. And so once you're back on your feet, back to work, and can pay those down, or retire, one of the two. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I'm so sorry, but check the reports. You can still take care of them. Still be there to work for you over time, and work with your lenders. Talk to the medical collections companies, and that's the story that I'm desperately trying to avoid. I've got 10 or 12 years, maybe 15 before I can retire. So trying to sock away as much savings as I can. But it's so sad when I see that. I'm so sorry. But work with those lenders. They may be able to help. It may not be reported, so check the credit history. It's good to have an account open or two to make sure, if you're just making a small purchase paid in full, to keep offsetting that information can help you recover as well. So I'm sorry I don't have something more positive to say. And I'm sorry to hear that. Are they allowed to continue to call your cell? I'm not an expert in the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, but you can ask that they stop calling you. You can tell them not to call you at your place of employment. There you have rights. So talk to your attorney general in your state. They can tell you exactly what your rights are with regard to collections. And you may find that those accounts aren't reported. You may be able to stop the calls or letters. I'm not sure. It depends on state to state. It varies as well as federal law. So check with them, and you'll be able. They should be able to tell you more. New York Zeppelin, can I explain what Lexus Nexus does as a company? So Lexus Nexus is another form of another consumer reporting company. They don't do credit reports. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is kind of misnamed because it actually regulates consumer reporting, not just credit reports. And there are a number of different consumer reporting companies. Lexus Nexus is one of them. They collect information that Experian does not in its credit reporting service. So Lexus Nexus may get certain public records that we don't get. They may collect other information, but they're collecting information and provide it to lenders. They comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So depends on what they're doing, but their business is data collection and analysis, similar to Experian, but not credit reporting. And so it's a different kind of consumer reporting. There are, for example, what we call debit reporting companies. They collect information about checking accounts and whether or not you've had bounced checks. And we don't have that kind of information in a credit report. So they're just a different form of consumer reporting company. They collect data from a number of different sources and then can share that with lenders and other businesses that are making risk-based decisions. And kind of similar idea, a different kind of information, so different data, essentially. I hope that helps. So they're just a consumer reporting company that's different than a credit bureau. Why is credit so random? My Experian score is different every place I look. It's not your Experian credit score. So I think that's the issue. Your credit report is not random. You have three. You have one from Experian, one from TransUnion, one from Equifax. It's updated about once a month, but it may be updated multiple times by each lender. So your lender updates your accounts about once a month. If you have more than one lender, they could update information at different times during the month, so that can cause the information to change. There are hundreds of different credit scores. So if you get a credit score from Experian, go to our website, for example, or our app, you'll get a FICO 8 score. Each time you get that, your score might change a little as the information changes in your report, but would be fairly consistent. If you go to a different source, they may use a score from Vantage Score, for example, which is a different scoring company. They may have a different scale. They may have a different score. And so you would see a difference in the number. So don't try to compare number to number. Instead, if you get a credit score, you should get an explanation of what that score means, what the scale is that that number falls within, what the risk factors are that affected that score. What you should find and what that score means in terms of risk. What you will usually find, almost always, is the numbers will be different, can be very different, but the risk factors from your credit report that are affecting it will be very similar, if not the same. And what the score means will be the same in terms of risk. So if you have a great score with one system, you'll have a great score with another, even if the numbers are different. Personal example, I get my scores once a year. I go out and buy them just like anybody else, or purchase them or get them from various websites. I usually get 5 or 6. And I typically see a difference in the numbers of 150 points from high to low. But they mean the same things. It's just that they have different scales. They're looking at a different kind of risk. So you may get a score if you're buying a car that's specifically designed for auto lending. That number would be different than if you go apply for a mortgage loan. They're going to use a score for mortgage lending, so you would see a different number. There are scores with different scales. So it's the scores that are different. They choose different scales and measure different things. Your credit reports are very consistent. So what I always tell people is take care of your credit report, focus on the report. If you're getting scores, get them from the same place consistently and you'll be able to track them better. Scores still go up and down. My scores go up and down every month, if not more often. Usually not very much. You won't see these huge swings. You usually see your scores kind of up and down a little bit and then trend upward. We hope that's the goal. So don't panic if you see, a 10 or 20 or 30, maybe even 40-point change in your scores. Watch the trend over time, and you'll see them trending up if you're continuing to pay your bills on time, reducing your balances, not missing payments, those sorts of things. So Not really random, just different scores. And that's often misunderstood. Only have 3 reports. So you get your report again. I can't say it enough. You can get your report once a week at annualcreditreport.com. So you can check that, see the information. I think you'll see that it's very consistent from one week to the next. Probably very consistent from one bureau to another. So from Experian to TransUnion to Equifax, there might be some small differences. The scores will be different. That's depending on where you get them. So that causes confusion. I understand that confusion. So thank you all so much for being here and being part of the Credit Chat, and love having conversations. Hope you've all had a good week. If you're just jumping in, I'm about to jump off. I'm Rod Griffin, Senior Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. This is Credit Chat Live. I'm here on Periscope Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern. We're on Credit Chat Live on Friday, myself and Christina Roman and Jennifer White, and we'll be on Facebook Live and crowdcast.io. Join us there. We're going to talk about lots of interesting subjects, things that are important. Tomorrow we're going to talk about unemployment in the COVID era and what that means potentially to your credit history. So it should be a good conversation. Jump in, ask any questions. We want to have that dialogue. You can learn more at ex.pn/creditchatlive. And on Wednesdays, we're on Twitter on Credit Chat at 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern. You can learn more about that at ex.pn/creditchat. So thank you so much for being here. If I missed your question, please jump in. I'll be back next Tuesday. Have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Take care, everybody.